Book review: The Serpent Called Mercy by Roanne Lau. Stunning, visceral debut that sinks its fangs into you and refuses to let go. Roanne Lau's The Serpent Called Mercy is the kind of debut that arrives with roar rather than a whisper. Gritty, imaginative, and emotionally layered, it's ferocious addition to the canon of character-driven epic fantasy with heart-pounding monster battles, rich world-building, and central friendship that thrums with emotional resonance. Loud balances high-octane spectacle with poignant intimacy. This is a story that doesn't just entertain. It claws at your conscience, asking you to consider what mercy means in a world where survival is everything. Plot summary: in The Serpent Called Mercy, Roanne Lau weaves dazzling and devastating tale of ambition, loyalty, and the brutal cost of survival, set in vividly imagined fantasy world plagued by inequality and monsters, both literal and human. At the heart of this gripping debut is profound friendship tested by the lure of glory and the shadows of betrayal. Lythlet and her best friend Desil have only each other. They live in the slums of an unforgiving city, by rigid hierarchy where debt is prison and hope is luxury. Lythlet, sharp-witted and fiercely determined, has spent her life calculating how to get by on scraps. Desil, larger than life and quick with his fists, is known for his skill in underground brawls, but neither of them has found way out of poverty. Their desperation leads them to the arena, an illegal and brutal battleground where combatants known as conquestors fight sun-cursed beasts. Once ordinary creatures twisted by magical affliction into terrifying monsters, the arena offers death or coin, and sometimes both. Lythlet and Desil sign up, hoping to earn enough to buy freedom from their debts. It is gamble born of necessity, but also of shared dream, to carve out future where no one owns them. First match is nearly their last. Desil's strength holds the beast back, but it's Lythlet's tactical brilliance that saves them, orchestrating daring move that earns them narrow, awe-inspiring victory. The crowd is stunned, so is Matchmaster Desil's powerful figure in the fighting circuits. He had expected to recruit Desil, whose size and reputation promised spectacle, but after watching Lythlet command the ring with sheer intellect, he sees different kind of weapon opportunity. Desil offers to mentor Lythlet, grooming her for the high-profile matches that promise greater rewards and deadlier risks. To her surprise, he dismisses Desil entirely. Lythlet resists at first, but the dream of something more, wealth, influence, autonomy, begins to seduce her. She agrees to his offer, and so begins her transformation from scrappy survivor to rising star of the blood-soaked sport. As Lythlet climbs the ranks, her fame grows. She dons masks, adopts titles. Her every move is watched, bet upon, and broadcast through the city's hidden channels. The public begins to whisper her name with awe and fear, but the price of this power is steep. With every win, she moves further from Desil, who becomes increasingly disillusioned with the path she's chosen, and with the way Desil manipulates her. Their friendship, once forged in fire, begins to crack under the weight of ambition and pride. And it isn't just the arena. Changes Lythlet. Behind the scenes, she's drawn into the city's political games. She learns that the fights are not just for sport. They are distractions, controlled spectacles funded by the ruling elite to keep the lower classes compliant. The monsters she slays may be cursed, but they are not mindless. Some even seem to recognize her. The magic that warps them to some curse is older and darker than she realized, and her victories may be system more monstrous than the beasts she faces. Worse, she learns that Desil is not a mentor but a manipulator. He sees her as a tool, an asset to increase his own clout and the power struggles waged behind closed doors. When she questions him, he reminds her of all she owes him, of everything he gave her when she was nothing. He threatens Desil. He controls her schedule, her matches, her image. And yet the city adores her. She has power. She has influence. For the first time in her life, listen when she speaks. She begins to wonder if she can use that influence to change things from within. But power gained through blood and betrayal cannot be wielded cleanly. Devastating betrayal brings the simmering tensions between Lythlet and Desil to head. He accuses her of losing herself. She accuses him of holding her back. Their bond, once stronger than steel, seems finally broken. Lythlet spirals, caught between the fantasy she has built and the truth beneath it, when she is forced into match meant to be her downfall. An impossible fight rigged by Desil. She must decide. Will she play the part they've written for her or tear down the stage altogether? In a climactic battle that pits her against this uncursed beast, unlike any seen before, Lythlet chooses defiance. She exposes the match-fixing, the political corruption, and the monstrous truth behind the arena's true purpose. Her fight becomes not just survival, but rebellion. Desil returns to her side, not as her shadow, but as her equal, reminding her of the girl who once believed in mercy over glory. Together, they ignite revolution, tearing apart foundations of the system that sought to destroy them. Whether they survive the fallout remains uncertain, but one thing is clear: Lythlet is no longer anyone's pawn. She is her own serpent, and her mercy, when she chooses to give it, is hers alone. The Serpent Called Mercy is blistering, breathtaking debut that blends visceral action with emotional depth. Lau delivers an epic that explores the cost of ambition, the nature of monstrosity, and the enduring strength of French in world built to break it, with unforgettable characters and intricate world building and novels, both spectacle and soul-stirring tale, one that lingers long after the final blow is struck. The world, brutality beneath the glamour. The novel opens in the slums of vast, unnamed city-state where the glittering facade of wealth masks the stench of systemic rot. Its setting that feels disturbingly real, evoking echoes of dystopian class divides while staying firmly rooted in fantastical realm. The sun-cursed beasts, grotesque creatures warped by the sun's unnatural magic, are as inventive as they are terrifying. But what's more monstrous, Lau suggests, the systems that exploit human suffering for sport. At the heart of this world lies the illegal arena circuit, gladiatorial underworld where the city's most desperate fight beasts for coin. Lau's depiction of these arenas is kinetic and immersive, with each match dizzying blend of strategy, spectacle, and sheer terror. Yet the real thrill comes not just from the fights themselves, but from how the characters navigate the power dynamics that surround them. Eerie. More than a bloodbath, it's microcosm of the world outside, where survival demands more than strength. It demands sacrifice, cunning, and compromise. The protagonists, Lythlet and Desil. While the novel features many compelling characters, it is the bond between Lythlet and Desil that forms its emotional core. Childhood friends bound by hardship and loyalty, they are the kind of duo you root for instantly. Lau resists the temptation to romanticize their relationship. Instead, she explores its complexities, its tensions, and its inevitable fractures under the weight of ambition and inequality. Lythlet, particular, is marvel of characterization, sharp-witted, fiercely protective, and deeply flawed. She's heroine who constantly tests the reader's sympathies. Her choices are often pragmatic rather than noble, born not of malice but of necessity. As she begins to taste power and prestige, her hunger for more becomes palpable. It is this moral slipperiness that makes her such a fascinating figure. Lau does not punish Lythlet for her ambition, but neither does she spare the consequences. Desil, on the other hand, is the emotional anchor of the story. Initially framed as the brawler, the brute, his quiet intelligence, then loyalty emerge gradually. Where Lythlet dreams of escape, Desil clings to the world they built together, and the pain of watching their paths diverge is rendered with heartbreaking nuance. Together, they navigate a city that thrives on pitting people against each other, until it inevitably pits them against each other too. Themes: mercy, power, and the cost of survival. The title, The Serpent Called Mercy, is not just evocative, it's thematically central. Lau is deeply interested in what mercy means in a world designed to grind people down. Is mercy luxury, weakness, or radical act of rebellion? These questions ripple through every decision the characters make. Lythlet's journey is ultimately one of moral negotiation. As she climbs the ranks, becomes Desil's protege, and enters the twisted game of politics and patronage, she must constantly ask herself what she is willing to sacrifice: honor, friendship, herself. Desil owes the arena's enigmatic matchmaster, his master manipulator, and his growing interest in Lythlet adds an element of danger that isn't strictly physical. He is the embodiment of the system that feeds off talent and ambition, and then discards it once it's no longer useful. His dynamic with Lythlet is one of mentorship laced with menace. Through him, Lau critiques not only the exploitation of physical labor, but also the insidious allure of patronage, especially for those with few other options. The novel also engages with ideas of debt, monetary, emotional, and moral. Lythlet and Desil's poverty is not just backdrop. It is the engine of their decisions. Their story asks, in rigged system, is it possible to win without becoming the thing you hate? Lore and world building, depth without overload. Lau's world building is confident and textured with lore that feels both ancient and dangerously alive. The sun-cursed beasts, the quasi-magical nature of the arenas, and the strange hierarchies of the underworld all point to deeply imagined world. What's impressive is that none of this world building comes at the expense of pacing. Lau trusts her readers to keep up, offering just enough detail to enrich the narrative, without bogging it down in exposition. There's also subtle spirituality that runs through the novel, an interrogation of fate, free will, and cosmic justice. While Lau keeps these elements understated, they provide an undercurrent of philosophical tension that elevates the story beyond its genre trappings. Craft in prose, precision with poetic bite. Lau's writing is crisp and evocative, equally at home in describing the brutality of beast fight or the quiet devastation of broken promise. Her prose has poetic bite, Sharp, lyrical, and frequently brutal, she excels in moments of emotional stillness where a single line can land like punch to the gut. Consider this moment when Lythlet realizes the true cost of her ambition. Victory tasted like when there was no one left to share the feast. Lines like this are scattered throughout the novel, anchoring the action with emotional clarity. Lau's a writer who knows exactly what each word is doing, and the result is a story that moves swiftly but leaves lasting impression. Structure and pacing, a well-honed blade. At just under 400 pages, The Serpent Called Mercy is tightly structured. There are no wasted chapters, no meandering detours. Every scene pushes the characters deeper into moral quandaries or escalates the stakes of the arena. The fights are placed with strategic brilliance, allowing for breathing room between battles without losing momentum. Lau's command of tension is particularly notable. Just when you think the story will lean into familiar tropes, it pivots, sometimes subtly, sometimes violently, always keeping the reader slightly off balance. It's a novel that trusts its audience and rewards close attention. Final verdict, a fierce, compassionate triumph. The Serpent Called Mercy is many things: blood-soaked thrill ride, character study of ambition and loyalty, critique of systemic exploitation, and an elegy for broken friendships. But above all, it is a novel about choices, terrible, necessary human choices, and the price we pay for them. Roanne Lau has written debut that announces her as force in fantasy fiction. Fans of The Poppy War by R. F. Kwang, The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah, or Feebound by Sarah El Arafi will find much to admire here. But Lau is no imitator. She carves out space all her own with raw emotional honesty, thrilling action, and thematic complexity. This is not a book that holds your hand. It drags you through the dust, drenches you in blood, and then, in moments so tender they feel almost painful, shows you what it means to care in a world that punishes compassion. Mercy, the novel argues, is not weakness. It is defiance, and in Roanne Lau's capable hands, it is unforgettable.